The large space station floated quietly in the dark between stars. It was beautiful, made of white metal and crystal that caught the light from nearby suns. This was the home of the Galactic Council, where beings from many different worlds came. To talk and make important decisions together, today was different. Today, fear filled the air like a bad smell. Ambassador Zethkar stood in the center of the great meeting hall. His body was made of living crystal that normally glowed with calm blue light. But now, red and orange colors flashed across his surface. These colors meant danger and worry in his language. Around him sat representatives from 17 different worlds. Some looked like giant flowers with petals that moved when they talked. Others were made of gas and floated in special containers. A few looked like living machines with metal bodies and glowing eyes. Each one was different, but they all shared the same feeling now. They were all afraid. "Hey, friends," Zethkar began, his voice echoing through the hall. "We have a big problem. The Krex volume, Dominion, has declared war on all of us." The room exploded with noise. Flower beings rustled their petals in alarm. The gas creatures made high whistling sounds. The machine beings flashed their lights in patterns that meant distress. Zethkar waited for quiet, then continued. "Krex volume have already destroyed 12 peaceful worlds in the Outer Rim. Their warships are moving toward the core systems. They will be here soon." Elder Quialin was one of the oldest beings in the council. She looked like a tall, thin tree with silver bark and leaves that glowed softly. She had seen many wars in her long life, but this scared her more than any other. "How many ships do they have?" she asked in her whisper-soft voice. "Our scouts." "Report over 10,000 war vessels," Zethkar replied. "Each one is bigger than our largest ships. Each one carries weapons that can destroy a city with one shot." The numbers hit the room like a physical blow. The Galactic Council had maybe 3,000 ships total, and most of those were built for exploring and trading, not fighting. "What can we do?" asked Construct Prime 7, a being made of geometric shapes that constantly moved and changed. "Our weapons are designed to study stars and move cargo. We are not warriors." This was the truth that made them all afraid. The Galactic Council was made up of peaceful species. They had grown up on safe worlds, with gentle climates and friendly animals. They had never needed to fight for their lives. They had never needed to be strong or tough. The Krex volume were different. They came from a harsh world where only the strong survived. They'd been fighting and conquering for thousands of years. They saw peace as weakness and kindness as something to be destroyed. "We need help," Zethkar said. "We need to find someone who can fight back against the Krex volume." "But who?" asked Nelvin, a flower being whose petals had turned gray with fear. "Everyone in the galaxy knows about the Krex volume. The smart species stay far away from them." Zethkar's crystal body flickered with new colors. These were the colors of hope, mixed with uncertainty. "We have found someone. Our long-range scanners have detected a species on the edge of the galaxy. They call themselves humans." The room fell silent. Most of the beings had never heard this word before. "Tell us about these humans," Elder Quialin said. Zethkar activated a holographic display. In the center of the room, it showed a small blue and green world orbiting a yellow star. The planet looked pretty from far away, but as the image zoomed in, the beings in the room began to see disturbing details. "Their world is called Terra," Zethkar explained. "That is unusual." The display showed massive storms that could destroy entire cities. It showed mountains that spit fire and melted rock, showed oceans with waves as tall as buildings. It showed ice caps that could freeze a being solid in seconds. "The gravity on this world is twice what most of us consider safe," Zethkar continued. "The air contains poison gases that would kill 60% of our species within hours. Weather changes from burning hot to freezing cold without warning." Construct Prime 7's geometric shapes spun faster with confusion. "If this world is so dangerous, how does any life survive there?" "That is the interesting part," Zethkar said. "Life does not just survive there, it thrives. The humans have built a civilization that covers their entire planet. They have art, music, literature, and technology." The display changed to show images of human cities. The beings in the room stared in amazement. The cities were huge, with buildings that reached toward the sky. Millions of humans lived and worked together in these places. But how do they survive on such a dangerous world? Nelvin asked. They adapt, Zethkar replied. When their world tries to kill them with storms, they build stronger houses. When it tries to kill them with heat, they make cooling systems. When it tries to kill them with cold, they make heating systems. They do not run away from danger. They find ways to live with it. The room was quiet as the beings tried to understand this concept. Most of them came from worlds where the biggest danger was a flower that grew too fast or a breeze that was slightly too strong. What makes you think they can help us fight the Krex volume? Elder Quillen asked. Our scouts have been watching them for several cycles, Zethkar explained. They have something that we do not have. They have learned to be strong because their world made them strong. They do not give up when things get hard. They fight back. The display showed more images of humans. Some were climbing tall mountains, just for fun. Others were diving deep into dangerous oceans to explore. Still others were racing in fast machines that could easily kill them if something went wrong. They seek out danger, Zethkar continued. They do things that would terrify us, and they do them for entertainment. They call it sport. The beings in the room looked at each other with growing amazement and fear. What kind of creatures chose to put themselves in danger for fun? There is more, Zethkar said. They have recently developed space travel. Their ships are built like their world, tough and strong. They have started exploring their local system. Have you made contact with them? Construct Prime 7 asked. Not yet, Zethkar admitted. We wanted to discuss it with the Council first. Contacting a new species is always risky. But we are running out of time. The Krex volume will be here soon. The debate that followed lasted for many hours. Some beings thought the humans sounded too dangerous to contact. What if they were as bad as the Krex volume? What if they decided to conquer the galaxy too? Others argued that they had no choice. The Krex volume were coming whether they liked it or not. At least the humans might be willing to help. Finally, Elder Quillen stood up. Her ancient voice carried clearly through the hall. We have two choices, she said. We can face the Krex volume alone and certainly die. Or we can ask these humans for help and maybe live. The vote was close, but the decision was made. The Galactic Council would send a message to the humans. They would ask these strange beings from the dangerous world to help them fight the Krex Vol. As the meeting ended, Zethkar looked at the image of Terra still floating in the holographic display. He wondered what kind of beings could survive. On such a world, he wondered if they would be friends or enemies. Most of all, he wondered if they were making the right choice. Soon, they would find out. The message was being prepared and it would be sent to the small blue world on the edge of the galaxy. The humans were about to learn that they were not alone in the universe. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you asked Deathworlders for help. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, watching the stars through the main view screen. 3 days had passed since Earth received the strange message from space. The message had arrived at every major space agency at the same time, written in perfect English and 17 other Earth languages. The message was simple, but shocking. It said that Earth was not alone in the universe. It said that beings from many worlds needed help. It said that humanity was invited to join something called the Galactic Council. Jake had been chosen to lead humanity's first meeting with alien life. The UES Horizon was Earth's newest and strongest ship, built to explore the outer planets of the solar system. Now it was flying toward a set of coordinates beyond Pluto, where the aliens said they would meet. Sir, we're getting close to the meeting point, called Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her station. She was the ship's communications officer, a smart woman who spoke 6 languages. Today she might need to learn a few more. Any sign of them yet? Jake asked. Nothing on sensors, but wait. ... Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls. I'm getting something. It's big, sir. Really big. The view screen flickered, and suddenly, a massive structure appeared in front of them. It was like nothing anyone on Earth had ever seen. The alien ship was the size of a small city, made of white metal and crystal that glowed with its own light. Beautiful patterns of light moved across, its surface like living art. My God, whispered Commander Pete Hamilton, Jake's second-in-command. "It's beautiful." The communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect English, though it sounded strange, like it was coming from inside a cave made of glass. "Human vessel, this is Ambassador Zethkar of the Galactic Council. We welcome you to this historic meeting. May we come aboard your ship?" Jake looked at his crew. They were all excited and scared at the same time. This was the moment that would change everything for humanity. "Ambassador Zethkar, this is Captain Jake Morrison. You are welcome aboard the UES Horizon. Please proceed to Docking Bay 2. What happened next was like something from a science fiction movie. A beam of light shot from the alien ship to the horizon. Within minutes, the ship's sensors detected 5 alien life forms in the docking bay. Jake and his senior staff walked quickly through the ship's corridors. Dr. Lisa Carter, ship's medical officer, carried a bag full of scanning equipment. Dr. Ben Torres, science officer, had his tablet ready to record everything. "Remember," Jake told his team, "we're representing all of humanity here. Let's make a good impression." They reached the docking bay and stopped. Through the window, they could see the aliens waiting inside. Jake had tried to imagine what aliens might look like, but these beings were beyond anything he had expected. The leader was clearly Ambassador Zethkar. He was tall and made of what looked like living crystal. Colors flowed across his surface, like water, creating patterns that were both beautiful and strange. Next to him stood a being that looked like a giant flower, with petals that moved when it breathed. Another alien seemed to be made of gas, contained in a transparent suit shaped like a person. "Here we go," Jake said, and opened the door. The moment the humans entered the docking bay, everything changed. The aliens suddenly stopped moving. The crystal being's colors shifted to bright orange and red. The flower creature's petals closed tight. The gas being's suit began to glow with warning lights. "By the void winds," Ambassador Zethkar said, his voice filled with surprise. "Your species, you are so intense." Jake stepped forward carefully. "Ambassador, I'm Captain Morrison. Are you all right?" "Oh, we are... overwhelmed," Zethkar replied. "Your people radiate such power. We did not expect this." Dr. Lisa Carter moved closer with her medical scanner. "May I run some basic health checks, just to make sure we can interact safely?" The flower being, who introduced herself as petal singer Nelvin, agreed to go first. Dr. Carter activated her scanner, which made a quiet humming sound. Immediately, Nelvin collapsed. Her petals turned gray and she began to shake. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "The burning pressure of your life force... It's too much." Dr. Carter quickly turned off the scanner and helped Nelvin to a chair. "What do you mean by life force pressure?" Another alien stepped forward. This one looked like a walking machine made of geometric shapes. "I am Construct Prime 7, it said in a voice like a computer. "Your species exists in what we would consider a constant state of combat readiness. Your stress hormones, your electrical activity, your very presence is like standing next to a nuclear reactor." Dr. Ben Torres began taking readings with his own equipment. "Fascinating. Our normal body functions seem to be overwhelming to them. Captain, I think we're dealing with species that evolved in much gentler environments than Earth." Jake looked at the aliens, who were all keeping their distance now. "Ambassador Zethkar, we don't want to hurt anyone. How can we make this meeting work?" Zethkar's colors slowly shifted to calmer blues and greens. "We will adapt. We must. But tell me, Captain Morrison, how do your people survive such intensity? How do you live with such power flowing through you at all times?" Jake looked at his crew, confused. "I'm not sure I understand." "What power?" "The power to survive," Zethkar explained. "Your bodies are designed for extreme conditions. Your minds are built to handle constant stress. But you exist at a level of strength that would kill most galactic species." Amy Rodriguez laughed, not meaning to be rude. "Sir, with respect, we're just normal humans. We haven't done anything special. Normal." The gas being spoke for the first time, its voice like wind through leaves. "You come from a world where the weather can kill you every day, where the very ground moves and shakes, where creatures exist that could destroy our entire civilizations. And you call this normal? Dr. Carter was scanning the aliens now, being very careful to keep her equipment on the lowest settings. Captain, their bone density is about half of ours. Their muscle mass is much lower, and their nervous systems are much more sensitive than humans. You see, Zethkar said, we come from what you might call safe worlds. Our weather's gentle, our animals are peaceful, our greatest natural. Disaster might be a flower that grows too quickly. We have never needed to be strong like you. Pete Hamilton shook his head in wonder. So when you say we're intense, we mean that your normal state would be our emergency state, Construct Prime 7 explained. What you consider a relaxing day would send most of us to medical treatment. Was beginning to understand, Ambassador, in your message. You said you needed help fighting something called the Krex Volume Dominion. What exactly are they? Zethkar's colors darkened. They are conquerors. They come from a world almost as harsh as yours, though not quite. They have been taking over peaceful worlds for thousands of years. They see kindness as weakness. You think we can help fight them? Amy asked. We hope so, Zethkar replied. The Krex Volume are stronger than us, but they are not as strong as you. They have never met a species from a true death world, Dr. Torres asked. That is what we call planets like yours, Nelvin said, her petals slowly returning to their normal color. Worlds where everything tries to kill you? Worlds that create beings like you. The meeting continued for several hours. The aliens told the humans about the galaxy, about the hundreds of peaceful species that made up the Galactic Council, and about the threat that was coming for all of them. In return, the humans shared information about Earth, about their history, and about their technology. The aliens were amazed to learn that humans had wars, that they competed with each other, that they had learned to survive by becoming stronger. You fight each other? Construct Prime 7 asked in disbelief. Sometimes, Jake admitted. We also help each other. Compete, but we also cooperate. Earth taught us that we need to be strong to survive, but also that we're stronger together. As the meeting ended, Zethkar's colors shifted to what the humans were learning meant hope, mixed with uncertainty. Captain Morrison, he said, will your people consider joining us? Will you help us fight the Krex Volume? Jake looked at his crew. They were all thinking the same thing. Humanity had always dreamed of meeting alien life. They'd never imagined that the aliens would need their help, Ambassador, Jake said. I'll need to talk to Earth's leaders. But speaking personally, I think most humans would be honored to help. We've always believed that those who can help should help, even if it means going to war, Zethkar asked. Jake smiled. Ambassador, humans have been going to war for thousands of years. The difference is, this time, we'd be fighting for something bigger than just ourselves. We'd be fighting for the whole galaxy. The aliens looked at each other with what might have been relief. They had found their warriors. They had found the Deathworlders who might be able to save them all. As the meeting ended and the aliens prepared to return to their ship, Nelvin approached Dr. Carter.
Your people,
she said quietly. They are not just strong. They are kind. That is rare in the galaxy. Dr. Carter smiled. Well, Earth taught us that being strong isn't enough. You also have to care about others. The aliens left, and the UES Horizon began its journey back to Earth. Jake stood on the bridge, looking at the stars with new eyes. Somewhere out there, hundreds of alien species were waiting to see what humanity would decide. The great meeting hall of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. 300 beings from across the galaxy sat in stunned silence as they watched the holographic display floating in the center of the room. The images showed recordings that the human delegation had shared during their visit. Ambassador Zethkar stood beside the display, his crystal form flickering with colors that showed deep concern mixed with amazement. He had been the one to suggest contacting the humans, and now he was beginning to wonder if they had made a terrible mistake. As you can see, he said to the assembled beings, the humans have shared documentation of their world and their activities. What we are witnessing challenges everything we thought we knew about intelligent life. The current image showed a human female named Amy Rodriguez, standing on the edge of a cliff that dropped straight down for thousands of feet. She was attached to what looked like a thin rope, and she was smiling. Then, incredibly, she jumped. Sound like a wave of fear rolled through the chamber. Flower beings rustled their petals in horror. Gas creatures made high whistling sounds of distress. Machine beings flashed warning lights. She volunteers to do this, Zethkar continued. The humans call it bungee jumping. They say it is fun. Elder Quillen, the ancient tree-like being, spoke in a voice that shook like leaves in a storm.
She threw herself from a height that would kill any of us instantly.
According to Captain Morrison, millions of humans participate in activities like this every year, Zethkar replied. They seek out danger for entertainment. The display changed to show humans riding down a mountain on thin boards, moving at speeds that would be considered reckless for most galactic vehicles. Then it showed humans diving deep into oceans filled with creatures that had teeth longer than most beings' entire bodies. They swim with predators, whispered Nelvin, her petals now completely gray with fear. They approach creatures that could eat them whole, and they record videos to show their friends. Construct Prime 7 processed the information with mechanical precision. Analysis indicates that humans regularly engage in activities that have significant probability of death or serious injury. Yet their population continues to grow. This suggests they have remarkable healing abilities or extremely efficient medical systems. Both, said Dr. Kailara, a jellyfish-like being who served as the Council's chief medical officer. I have reviewed the biological data that the humans provided. Their bodies are designed for trauma recovery. They heal from injuries that would be fatal to most of us. Their bones can regrow stronger after breaking. Their muscles become more powerful when stressed. The chamber erupted in alarmed chatter. This was beyond anything most species had ever encountered. There is more, Zethkar announced, and the room fell silent again. The humans have also shared information about their planet's natural conditions. The display now showed Terra in all its terrifying glory. Massive storms that covered entire continents. Earthquakes that split the ground open. Volcanoes that threw melted rock into the sky. Temperatures that ranged from hot enough to kill most life forms to cold enough to freeze them solid. Their world is actively trying to kill them, Zethkar said. Every day, every hour, their planet presents new ways to die. And yet they have not just survived, they have thrived. The image changed to show human cities, millions of buildings reaching toward the sky, billions of humans living and working together. Art, music, literature, and technology that showed a complex and advanced civilization. They built all of this while their world was trying to destroy them, Elder Quillen said in wonder. How is this possible? Because they do not run from danger, Zethkar explained. They face it. They adapt to it. They overcome it. When their world sends storms, they build stronger houses. When it sends earthquakes, they build flexible buildings. When it sends floods, they build walls and boats. The display showed human engineering projects. Cities built in deserts where the heat could kill. Settlements in frozen lands where the cold was deadly. Buildings that could bend with earthquakes without breaking. Ships that could survive storms that would destroy most galactic vessels. But the most remarkable thing, Zethkar continued, is not their technology, it is their attitude. The screen now showed a recording of Captain Morrison explaining human philosophy. His words were translated into hundreds of languages, but the meaning was clear in all of them. We believe that challenges make us stronger, the recording said. When something tries to stop us, we find a way around it. When something tries to hurt us, we learn to protect ourselves. When something tries to kill us, we figure out how to survive it, and then we teach others. We see deadly challenges as opportunities to improve, Dr. Kailara observed. Most species would flee from such conditions. Humans use them as training. The debate that followed was unlike anything in the Council's history. Some beings argued that humans were too dangerous to be trusted. What if they decided to conquer other worlds like the Krex volume had done? What if their violent nature made them unsuitable for peaceful galactic society? Look at their history, argued Senator Flux, a being made of living liquid. They've fought wars among themselves for thousands of years. They have weapons that could destroy their entire planet. How do we know they will not turn these weapons on us? But others pointed out something different in the human records. Yes, they fight, said Elder Quillen. But they also help. When natural disasters strike, humans from around their world come to help. When others are in trouble, they risk their own lives to save them. They are warriors, but they are also protectors. The display showed images of human rescue workers running into burning buildings to save others, doctors traveling to dangerous places to help the sick, soldiers fighting to protect innocent people, teachers sharing knowledge even in the most difficult conditions. Their strength comes with responsibility, observed Mindkeeper Vex, a being of pure thought. They use their power to help those who cannot help themselves. This is not the behavior of conquerors. This is the behavior of guardians. As the debate continued, more information about the humans was shared. The council learned that humans had art forms based on their struggle with their dangerous world. They had music that celebrated both the beauty and the terror of Terra. They had stories that taught lessons about courage in the face of impossible odds. They have a saying, Zethkar announced. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. It means that when situations become difficult, strong people take action instead of giving up. And another saying, added Nelvin, who had been studying human culture, what does not kill you makes you stronger. They believe that surviving hardship makes them better. The most surprising revelation came from the humans' own assessment of their world. They knew it was dangerous. They knew it was trying to kill them, but they loved it anyway. They called Terra their home, Zethkar said. Not their prison, not their curse, their home. They are proud of surviving there. They are proud of what their world has taught them. As the long day of debate continued, the council began to understand something important. The humans were not just strong because of their bodies. They were strong because of their minds. Their dangerous world had taught them to never give up, to always find solutions, and to help others when they could. The question before us, Elder Quillen finally said, is not whether the humans are dangerous. They clearly are. The question is whether they are the kind of dangerous we need. The Krex volume threat had been growing stronger every day. More worlds had fallen, or peaceful species had been destroyed or enslaved. The Council's own military forces were no match for the conquerors. We have tried diplomacy, said Ambassador Zethkar. The Krex volume response was to destroy 3 more worlds. We have tried economic pressure. They simply take what they want. By force, we have tried hiding. They find us anyway. What we have not tried, added Commander Helix. The Council's military leader is fighting back with people who know how to fight. People who have been fighting for survival their entire lives. The final debate lasted through the night cycle. When morning came, the Council was ready to vote. The choice was simple, but terrifying. They could continue to face the Krex volume alone and watch their civilizations die, or they could invite the Deathworlders to help them fight. The vote was closer than anyone expected. Many beings were still afraid of what the humans might do, but fear of the Krex volume was stronger than fear of the humans. When the counting was done, the motion passed by just 12 votes. It is decided, Elder Quillen announced. We formally invite the human species to join the Galactic Council. We request their military assistance against the Krex volume Dominion. As the council members began to leave, Zethkar remained in the empty chamber, looking at the last image on the display. It showed Captain Morrison and his crew standing together on their ship, ready to face whatever came next. I hope we have chosen correctly, he said to himself. Hope the Deathworlders can save us all. In the distance, space sensors detected new Krex volume ships entering Council territory. The war was coming, whether they were ready or not. Soon, the galaxy would learn what happened when Deathworlders joined the fight. The space around the Kepler 442 system had become a graveyard. Broken pieces of alien ships floated in the darkness, glowing with the fires that still burned inside them. The Krex volume Dominion had been here for 3 days, destroying everything. In their path, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, watching the enemy fleet through his view screen. Beside his ship flew to other Earth vessels, the Used Defiant commanded by Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, and the UES Ranger under Commander Pete Hamilton. 3 human ships against 57 Krex Volume warships. Council Fleet, this is Captain Morrison. Jake spoke into his communications system. We can see the Krex Volume formation. 57 vessels, heavy weapons, standard attack pattern. What are your orders? The response came from Admiral Zethkar, whose crystal form was probably flashing. With panic colors right now, Captain Morrison, there are too many of them. We must retreat immediately and call for backup forces. Jake looked at his crew. Dr. Lisa Carter was at the medical station, ready to treat wounded. Dr. Ben Torres was monitoring the ship's systems. His weapons officer, Staff Sergeant Maria Gonzalez, had her hands ready over the firing controls. They all looked calm, almost eager. Negative, Admiral, Jake replied. We're going in. The silence that followed was so long that Jake wondered if the communication system had broken. Finally, Admiral Zethkar's voice came back, sounding confused and frightened. Captain Morrison, did you understand what I said? There are enemy ships. You have only 3 ships. This is not possible to win. Amy Rodriguez's voice came over the radio from the UES Defiant. Jake, my crew is ready. We've been looking at these Krex Volume ships, and they don't look that tough. Pete Hamilton. Agreed from the Ranger. Their armor plating looks thick, but our weapons should be able to punch through. And they're moving in a very predictable pattern. Jake smiled. Admiral Zethkar, humans have been fighting impossible battles for thousands of years. Just another Tuesday for us. What happened next would be talked about in the galaxy for centuries. The 3 human ships accelerated directly toward the Krex Volume fleet at speeds that made the Council forces panic. The Krex Volume, confident in their overwhelming numbers, waited to destroy the foolish aliens who dared to attack them. The first surprise came when the Krex Volume opened fire. Their weapons were designed to destroy the light, fragile ships that most galactic species used. The beams that should have vaporized the human vessels struck their hulls and merely scorched the metal. Damage on Deck 7, reported Dr. Torres from the horizon. Nothing serious. These weapons are designed for ships much weaker than ours. The second surprise came when the humans fired back. Earth weapons were designed to work in the harsh conditions of Terra, where anything that broke was deadly. Were built to be powerful, reliable, and effective against tough targets. The first Krex Volume ship to be hit simply exploded. One moment it was there, the next it was a cloud of burning metal. Target destroyed, Sergeant Gonzalez reported. The Krex Vol fleet began to move faster, trying to surround the human ships. This was a mistake. The alien vessels were built for overwhelming weaker enemies, not for quick maneuvering against tough opponents. Amy Rodriguez proved this when she took the Defiant on a path that no Council ship could have survived. She flew straight through the middle of the enemy formation, her ship spinning and turning to avoid weapons fire, while her gunners took shots at every Krex Volume vessel they passed. Contact, she called out over the radio, and Jake could hear the excitement in her voice. These guys are fast, but they can't handle our acceleration rates. I think we're actually scaring them. She was right. The Krex Volume had never fought an enemy that seemed to enjoy battle. They were used to fighting peaceful species who tried to run away or surrender quickly. The humans were different. They were flying toward danger with what sounded like joy in their voices. Pete Hamilton took the Ranger on an attack run that made the Council forces watching from a distance gasp in horror. He flew his ship so close to a Krex Vol vessel that the 2 hulls almost touched, then fired his weapons at point-blank range. The enemy ship broke apart like it was made of paper. Pete called out. I think their ships are designed to fight from a distance. They can't handle close combat. Then let's get close, Jake replied. The battle turned into something the galaxy had never seen. Instead of the long-range weapons exchanges that most space battles involved, the humans turned it into what they called a dogfight. They flew there. Ships like fighters. Getting close to the enemy and hitting them hard before moving to the next target, the Krex Volume began to panic. Their weapons were powerful, but they needed time to aim and fire. The human ships moved too fast and too unpredictably. Every time the aliens thought they had a target locked, the humans would change direction or do something impossible. Their Piloting is insane, one Krex volume commander was heard saying over an open channel. They fly like their ships are parts of their own bodies. Dr. Carter, monitoring the battle from her medical station, noticed something interesting. Captain, the human crews are showing signs of excitement, not stress. Their heart rates are up, but it's the good kind of adrenaline rush. Jake realized she was right. His crew was having fun. They were in a life-or-death battle against overwhelming odds, and they were enjoying themselves. This was what humans did. They turned danger into a game and fear into excitement. The Krex volume were not having fun. They had never encountered an enemy that seemed to get stronger as the battle got more dangerous. Usually, their enemies became more afraid as the fighting continued. The humans seemed to become more confident. Unknown vessels. A Krex volume voice came over the communications system. Speaking in broken galactic standard, "What species are you? Why do you fight with such madness?" Amy Rodriguez answered from the Defiant, as she destroyed another enemy ship. "We're humans from Terra, and this isn't madness. It's just how we fight." The battle began to turn when the Krex volume made their biggest mistake. Seeing that their normal tactics were not working, they decided to use their most powerful weapon. They fired what they called a planet-killer missile at the human fleet. The missile was designed to destroy entire worlds. It was supposed to be so terrifying that enemies would surrender rather than face it. The humans had a different reaction. "Big missile coming in," Sergeant Gonzalez reported. "Looks like it could take out a continent. Can we stop it?" Jake asked. "I've got an idea," Pete Hamilton called from the Ranger. "Amy, can you and Jake keep those ships busy for about 30 seconds? "No problem," Amy replied. "What are you planning?" "Something stupid that might work," Pete said, and Jake could hear the grin in his voice. Pete flew the Ranger directly at the massive missile. At the last second, he fired all of his ship's weapons at once and then used his engines to ram the missile at full speed. The explosion lit up the entire system. When the light faded, both the missile and the Ranger were gone. "Pete," Jake called out, but there was no answer. Then, from the cloud of debris, came Pete's voice, calm and slightly amused. "Still here, Jake. Ship's a bit banged up, but we're all alive. Turns out human ships are tougher than Krex volume missiles." That was the moment the Krex volume realized they were not fighting normal enemies. They were fighting beings who would ram their own ships into planet-killer weapons and survive. They were fighting beings who saw impossible odds as a fun challenge. The alien fleet began to retreat. As they fled, their commander sent a message that would spread across the entire Krex volume. "Dominion within hours. All Krex volume forces, avoid the sector containing the Deathworlders. They are not prey. They are not victims. They are the hunters. They fight like their planet itself. All ships stay away from the humans." The battle was over. 3 human ships had defeated 57 Krex volume vessels. More importantly, they had done something no one in the galaxy had managed before. They had made the Krex volume afraid. As the human fleet regrouped, Admiral Zethkar's voice came over the radio. His crystal form was probably glowing with colors that had no translation. "Captain Morrison," he said, "what did we just witness?" Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was checking systems, treating minor injuries, and already planning for the next battle. They looked like they had just finished a training exercise, not a life-or-death combat. Admiral Jake replied, "You just witnessed what happens when you ask Deathworlders to go to war." Word of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. The Krex volume Dominion, which had been conquering worlds for thousands of years, had met their match. The peaceful species of the Galactic Council had found their protectors, and on a small blue world on the edge of the galaxy, more ships were being built and more crews were being trained. The humans were just getting started. The age of the Deathworlders had begun. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Kepler 442, and the galaxy was a very different place. The great meeting hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement as beings from over 100 different worlds gathered for the most important ceremony in galactic history. Admiral Jake Morrison, formerly Captain Morrison, stood at the center of the hall, wearing his new dress uniform. The 3 gold stars on his shoulders marked him as the first human to hold such a high rank in the Galactic Council's military forces. Round him stood his crew, all of whom had been promoted after their victory against the Krex volume. Ambassador Zethkar approached the podium, his crystal form glowing with colors that everyone had learned meant joy and satisfaction. In the months since first contact, the aliens had gotten much better at being around humans. They had learned to handle the intensity that humans naturally gave off. Honored delegates, Zethkar began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. Today, we make history. Today, we formally welcome the human species into the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted in sounds of celebration. Flower beings rustled their petals in approval. Gas creatures made musical humming sounds. Machine beings flashed lights in happy patterns. Even the most delicate species had learned to appreciate what the humans had brought to the galaxy. Months ago, Zethkar continued, we were a galaxy living in fear. Queck's volume Dominion had conquered 12 worlds and was moving toward our core systems. Today, the Krex volume have retreated to their home territory and have not attacked a single peaceful world since the humans arrived. This was true. After their defeat at Kepler 442, the Krex volume had tried 3 more attacks against human-protected systems. All 3 had ended in disaster for the invaders. Word had spread quickly through their empire. Avoid the Deathworlders at all costs. Jake stepped forward to address the assembly. Honored delegates, humanity is grateful for this opportunity. We look forward to sharing our knowledge, our culture, and our protection with all peaceful species in the galaxy. The ceremony continued with the signing of the Treaty of Tehran Integration. But the real celebration would come afterward, and that was something completely new for the Galactic Council, Dr. Lisa Carter, serving as Earth's chief medical officer. For Galactic Relations had spent the last 6 months working with dozens of alien species to develop new medical techniques. She had discovered that many treatments considered routine on Earth could help species that had been thought incurably fragile. We've learned that trauma medicine from Earth works amazingly well for other species, she explained to a group of alien doctors. Techniques we developed for treating injuries from Terra's dangerous environment can be adapted to help beings who were previously considered too delicate to save. The medical revolution was just one of many changes the humans had brought. Dr. Ben Torres had been working with alien scientists to share Earth's engineering knowledge. Buildings on Council worlds were being reinforced using human techniques. Now, ships were being built stronger and more reliable. But perhaps the biggest change was in attitude. Elder Quillen, the ancient tree-like being, stood in what humans had convinced the Council to build a gymnasium. 3 times a week, she joined other council members for what they called fitness training. I never thought my old branches could grow stronger, she said to Jake, as she carefully lifted a weight that would have been impossible for her 6 months ago. But you humans have taught us that stress can make us better instead of breaking us. The gym had become a symbol of the new galactic culture. Species that had spent millions of years avoiding any kind of physical challenge were learning that controlled stress could actually improve their health, and strength. Ambassador Zethkar had become particularly good at what humans called cardio exercise. His crystal form had grown brighter and more stable since he started working out. I understand now why your people are so strong, he told Amy Rodriguez during one of their training sessions. You do not avoid difficult things. You use them. To become better, changes went beyond just physical fitness. The entire Galactic Council had adopted what was becoming known as the human approach to problem solving. Instead of spending years debating and considering every possible outcome, they had learned to try solutions quickly and adapt as they went. What would the humans do? Had become the most common phrase in council meetings. The answer was usually to try something bold and see what happened. This new approach had led to rapid advances in science, technology, and even art. Species that had been stuck in the same patterns for thousands of years were suddenly making breakthrough discoveries. By applying human-style thinking to their research, the celebration that followed the treaty signing was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. For the first time in Council history, they held what humans called a party. Jake found himself dancing with a crystalline being who had learned to change her form to match the rhythm of Earth music. Amy Rodriguez was teaching a group of gas creatures, how to play what appeared to be a modified version of poker. Pete Hamilton was showing machine beings something called humor by telling jokes that made their lights flash in patterns that looked like laughter. "Think we'll fit in out here?" Amy asked Jake during a break in the festivities. Jake looked around the hall. Beings from dozens of different worlds were mixing together in ways that would have been impossible before humans arrived. They were laughing, playing games, and enjoying themselves in ways that their species had never experienced. "Amy," he said with a smile, "I think we're going to do more than fit in. I think we're going to help this galaxy remember what it means to really live." The party continued deep into the night cycle, but the real work was just beginning. Insecure. Meeting rooms throughout the station, human military advisors were working with council forces to develop new defensive strategies. The techniques that had worked so well against the Krex volume were being taught to other species. General Sarah Park, who had arrived from Earth with the second wave of human ships, was explaining human military philosophy to a group of alien commanders. The key, she told them, is not to fight the way your enemy expects. Be unpredictable, be bold, and never ever give up. These lessons were already being put to use. Council ships were being refitted with human-designed armor and weapons. More importantly, their crews were being trained in human tactics and mindset. The results were impressive. When a group of space pirates tried to attack a council trade convoy, they found themselves facing aliens who fought with human-style aggression and creativity. The pirates retreated so quickly that they left half their fleet behind. But the changes were not just military. The entire galactic economy was being transformed by human ideas about risk and innovation. Species that had been afraid to try new things for fear of failure were learning that failure was just another way to learn. "Humans have a saying," explained Dr. Torres to a gathering of alien engineers. "If at first you don't succeed, try again." They believe that failure is not the end of a project, but just the beginning of learning how to do it better. This philosophy was revolutionizing technology throughout the galaxy. Projects that had been abandoned after the first setback were being restarted with human consultants. New inventions were appearing faster than ever before. The Krex volume, meanwhile, were learning that their old tactics no longer worked. Every world they had once terrorized was now protected by council forces trained in human methods. Their empire was shrinking as former victims became confident defenders. Reports coming from Krex volume territory suggested that their society was in chaos. They had built their entire culture around being the strongest, most feared force in the galaxy. Now that they had met beings who were stronger and feared nothing, they did not know how to respond. Some Krex volume groups had even sent secret messages to the council, asking about the possibility of peace negotiations. They had seen what happened, two enemies of the humans, and decided they would rather be friends. As the celebration wound down, Jake stood on the observation deck of the council station, looking out at the stars. Amy joined him, along with Pete and Dr. Carter. 6 months ago, we thought we were alone in the universe, Pete said. Now we're helping to reshape an entire galaxy. Dr. Carter nodded. The medical knowledge we're sharing will save millions of lives. And the aliens are teaching us things we never imagined possible. Amy looked at the alien ships docked around the station. Each one represented a different world, a different way of thinking, a different piece of the galactic community that humans were now part of. "Do you think Earth is ready for all this?" she asked. Jake smiled. "Earth has been preparing us for this our entire lives. Every challenge our planet threw at us, every impossible situation we survived, every time we chose to help instead of just helping ourselves, it was all practice for this moment." In the distance, new ships were arriving at the station. Carried humans from Earth, coming to join the growing fleet. Others brought aliens from worlds that had just heard about the Deathworlders and wanted to meet them. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of that change. Not as conquerors, but as teachers, protectors, and friends.